So we're sitting there in our ivory towers and we have very, very fanciful explanations of truth. Um, and that's all we have, fanciful explanations of truth. Wanted to do a video, been meaning to do this for a couple of days about moving from the theoretical side of things to the practical. What you're finding, and we're kind of addressing this more to the whole spiritual side of things, but again, you can pretty much take any example and kind of move it, that way. Whether it's weight loss, I don't know, relationships or whatever. We all learn something. When we initially hear about something, regardless of what it is, we want to learn something about it. So we go and read the books. We go sit with the teachers. We attend the courses. We go to the seminars. We do pretty much everything we know to know it. I guess at a point where theoretically we know what's going on, and yet life is still a mess. It's still a mess because what's happened is we've just got a new set of toys to play with, but we haven't actually taken that step to actually change, to actually apply what we've learned into our lives. And it is a massive problem across a lot of areas, millions and millions of pounds, and in other words, or literally billions of pounds and seminars and books and talks are sold every single year to people looking to try and get better, to feel happier within themselves. Because we live obviously in this easy internet access world. It goes further. There's as many free resources now as there are, like books, seminars, and what have you. And what can happen is we learn something theoretically, so we learn a way to actually talk about it, to try and be it, and then invariably what we try and do is we make that our new God, we make it our new way of communicating, and then we start seeing the world like that. And what we're really kind of doing is we've replaced one way of looking at things with another. And again, the problems and everything that we were looking to kind of sort out in order to feel happier are still there. But because we have a different way of looking at them, as a different lens through which we're looking at now, it may not feel so bad, or it may just allow us and give us an explanation to not do absolutely anything, because it's either this or it's either that, or it's a growth process or whatever. So what happens is we then don't practically engage life. We get this theory, we sit with it, and it becomes everything. To quote a real time example, I was reading a discussion on Facebook, of people talking of liberation, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, and what it would be like. And I must admit, some of the explanations were absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Really well thought out, really well written. Absolutely brilliant. And then as a discussion, furthered on, it was a case of no one had actually really done anything. No one had actually had the experience, or put away the experience, no one was actually living from that practical reality. So there were these amazing fanciful explanations, but they were just that, fanciful explanations. And I felt like commenting. I thought, no, not really. Don't really feel the need or the desire. I'll do a video about it instead, which is a bit crazy, but there you go. And it's simple. You need to look inside yourself. You need to kind of really confront what's going on in your life, and to go through that. Sometimes what I find is that the people who are most successful, now what I mean by successful is they're happy in themselves and they've got what they want, and they're happy on a day-to-day basis, are those who've gone through that journey, have actually confronted their problems, um, and just really kind of pushed through to this other side where they've resolved their problems and they're okay. They're living life on a practical sense of the word. It's like a reality. And in that sense, that's the very liberation you're looking for. It doesn't necessarily have to be an event. It can be a case of being completely okay. What you're finding is there is this trend where people are using this language and stuff to think a certain way. What they try to do is they try to fit their life into a way of being, whether it's, a 12-step program, whether it's a certain spiritual approach, or whether it's you've gone to a weekend course. Now, no technique, method, or anything is ever really going to be able to fit you. You're bigger than that. But it's amazing the amount of people who completely go absurd about this stuff and stop referring to themselves in certain ways, or start talking of something and really convince themselves that yes, this is happening or that's happening. But the reality is they've not actually actually experienced it, or are actually not living it from a practical viewpoint. Now, living it from a practical viewpoint basically means that this experience, or this knowing, or whatever you want to call it, and I don't want to harp on about the experience or knowing, because it does make it out as if there's something to get. Not really. It's just really about being okay with what you are. It becomes a very practical way of living, and it is totally efficient, and there isn't really much effort required because you're being authentic to yourself. And that's one of the things that is needed: authenticity. So many people are trying to be something else that they've lost sight of what they are. So they're trying to be the perfect parent, or the perfect relation, perfect boyfriend, the perfect husband, the perfect wife. That they've lost sight of what they are and what makes them tick. Add into the mix people and gurus telling us how to live our lives, and it gets rather complicated. Now, you've got to remember, it's like I talk, but this is me. This is my experience. This is my take on it. It's no more valid than the person listening to it or anybody else's. Really, if you want to take something off it, take something off it that sits well with you. But there's so many people now who are so desperate to actually feel okay, that what they're doing is they're kind of, in a sense, rejecting a lot of stuff that's perfectly valid and is workable in their lives, in order to kind of like try and feel okay. Well, there's bits of you which are perfectly fine, and there's bits of you which are a work in progress. Confront that. What is it that, what is it that, you know that's causing that agitation? What's making it feel like that? And really look to try and obviously kind of, resolve that. And that's a practical thing. And take your time. It doesn't mean that, yes, okay, I've heard the video, I'm going to go crazy, I'm rejecting absolutely everything, and I'm going to go confront my problems. Take your time, breathe, um, allow it to work itself out the way is best for you, because at the end of the day, it's you. You have to be comfortable within yourself. And what people are trying to do is, as a society, regardless of wherever you come from, so many people are trying to be something they're not now, that we are now, in a sense, we're losing this authenticity. And then people are cashing in, telling us how to behave, and in our desperation we lose ourselves further by trying to be what they say has worked for them. And guess what? It's going to work for you. It may not. The best thing to do is to, in a sense, take what sits well with you, but try and always bring it back to yourself. Try to be authentic to yourself. I've read books recently, and watched videos, and it really is people talking about what worked for them that may not necessarily work for you. I believe there was a famous writer who said, I need to create my own system or be enslaved by another. Taking that further, you need to be the best possible version of yourself. You cannot be me, you cannot be anybody else. You can only be the best possible version of yourself. So authenticity is a massive thing. Be real. Don't try to be something that you're not, because that in itself causes lots of problems. As people know, obviously, that I spent years away from this stuff, not talking about this stuff or anything. And now, only after a 4 year long process, it's a case of just come back. And even then, I'm slowly but surely doing what I need to do. Why beat myself up about it and say I need to do this, and this? Because I can only be the best possible version of myself with all my perfections and imperfections. Note the emphasis of perfections. It's about being okay with those, being authentic with them, because invariably the question and answer is in you. The problem and the resolution of that problem are within you. You just need to trust it. You just need to trust yourself. And in this age, we've got to that point where we trust everybody else. We don't trust ourselves. That's why sometimes when you meet someone who's just authentically living their life, they have that certain attraction around them. They're not different. The only thing is that they've just seen through the lie, the myth that yes, we need to be something. Well, if you need to be something, how about removing all those imperfections or removing all those masks, better still, that you're wearing and being yourself? Why not turn inwards and see yourself for what you truly are? Then the liberation, the enlightenment, or whatever it is you want to call it, the self-help pinnacle, the actualization, or whatever you want to call it, you know, you'll get. And where will it be got? Just where you are, because there'll be, well, I'm okay. So most of the times we're not even looking for anything great. We're just looking to feel okay with ourselves. So why not turn into yourself and look at what you are and be authentic to yourself? Because remember, you've got to live with yourself for the rest of your days. So there you go. Authenticity is key. So until the next time, have a good one, and yeah, and be real.